Righteous.
We need some dockyards. Or we have some dockyards.
Quite a few, goodness.
Definitely want to be producing convoys. Yeah, destroyers, light cruisers.
The German U-boats.
Yeah, heavy cruiser 2. And some battle cruisers. Throw in some battleships. Type 2A submarines. Yeah, alright.
Yeah, you gotta have Untersea boats.
Oh yeah.
That's how we do.
That is how we do. Stockpiling convoys, good. Actually, convoys should be last for resources. And I think.
Do we want to use?
I don't know if
dockyards?
I don't know if Russia is going to have much of a navy, so we should probably deploy them at Hamburg. Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, the idea of a Russian fleet without Soviet naval expansion is kind of laughable. And that hasn't happened because there's no Soviet Union.
No, not yet anyway. I'm interested to read, because I know there are pages and pages and pages of backstory for this mod. Yeah, like how the negotiated peace with the Bolsheviks went down and stuff like that. So we're short 15 oil, as Germany is want to be. Let's see, we can get some oil from the Ukraine. Obviously, that's something we want to do. And Azerbaijan, we'll take it.
Yes,
actually, we should only need one factory's worth of oil from them to be breaking even. Yeah, that'll put us a little bit ahead. We still have free dockyards. How many?
6.
Well, let's get extra submarines, extra destroyers.
And if we want a Deutschland-class battleship in under a decade.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we should focus on our larger ships, actually.
Yeah, the stuff that's not being produced very fast.
Battle cruiser. Because we're probably going to heed Dennett's and go for fleet and being, so...
As we should, in my opinion.
Yep. Oh, that puts us at an even worse oil deficit.
So
we can play on speed 5 to begin with.
The big...
We need 5 more from Azerbaijan here. Alright, so now we should be producing everything we need to produce.
Okay.
So the Kaiserreich team proudly presents the Alpha 0.2.
Congratulations, this is pretty sick.
Your stability level is directly influenced by your political power balance. Positive PP equals good, negative PP equals bad. So we can actually go into political power debt, I guess.
Interesting.
So keep an eye on that. You should also keep in mind the mod is designed with the assumption the player will always annex all possible states and peace treaties, so you should make sure to do that. Finally, we'd like to remind you that it's still a very early alpha, so expect bugs, crashes, various headaches in this version, and if you encounter any of these, please report them. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Kaiserreich team. Let's do Tell Me More About the Stability System. It gives us 5 political power.
Why not?
So, Kaiserreich for Hoi 4 introduces a new mechanic, the Stability System. Stability is present in the form of laws, which you can see in your political screen next to the trade laws. These are influenced by your political power. Having under negative 60 political power will make you a potential target to get at low stability. Minus 200 will get you very low stability. Minus 500 will get you a disaster. You want to avoid that, trust me. On the contrary, if you can get up, you'll be able to go up very low stability if you're above. Yeah, I basically get the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
The mechanic to go up to good and very good stability is a bit different. You have to get 150 political power, and then you'll be eligible for an event asking if you want to go up and spend it. Okay. Please keep in mind the events of adding or removing your stability don't instantly fire and can take up to 200 days if you're unlucky. So,
cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Great job, lads.
Great job, lads. On the shoulders of giants. Civilian support for the ruling party has reached quite a high level, which influences our political power. Excellent. Which... there's no real reason it wouldn't.
Constitution of the German Reich.
So signed in 1871 after the crushing defeat of the Second French Empire by forces of the North German Federation. Between representatives of the North German Federation and 4 southern German states, this constitution was a cornerstone for enlarging North German Federation.
It created Germany.
Thus giving the enlarged entity a new identity as the Deutsches Reich. According to the Constitution, the head of state or president of confederation bearing the title German Emperor is the King of Prussia. As the president of the Bundesrat, the Council of Representatives of the German states, the Emperor installs the Chancellor, the head of government. Laws are enacted by the Bundesrat at the Reichstag, the Imperial Diet elected by male Germans above the age of 21 years. However, it is Emperor, not Bundesrat or Reichstag, who hold power in the German Empire, with an option to dissolve the Reichstag when he wishes. So it is clear that the main political power in the German Empire rests not in the Reichstag as ultimate expression of people's will. This could use an editor. I will give.
We're available.
That will give them that one criticism, and I will do it.
Yeah, we're available, y'all.
Yeah.
We're all of it. We're available.
But in the hands of unelected German emperor. All right. Constitution guarantees stability at least. Why are we out of resources again? Because Azerbaijan is not delivering enough oil. So I guess we're gonna look. Austria barely has any. Iran doesn't have enough. So let's see. Peru, you want to send us some oil? Okay. Low manpower. We actually have 0 manpower at this point. All of our men are mobilized.
Well, Germany had a very efficient conscription service, so...
By the way, okay, so the Netherlands is authoritarian democracy, and... Belgium is an authoritarian democracy. The Netherlands, they're social conservatives. So there's a chance they would side with France in attacking us. Denmark probably mostly hates us because we hold some of their core territory.
Yes, we do.
They're also social democrats.
They will probably be a realistic first target if we are aggressive. Yeah. Like if we start things.
Assassination of President Kerensky. The president of the Russian Republic ever since its inception in 1917, Alexander Kerensky, has just been shot and killed on the way to the Senate. The assailant was taken down by the police, but the goals and intentions of the attacker are unknown. Despite his massive unpopularity among the Russian people due to botched land reform and inefficient rule, Kerensky was nevertheless able to hold the country together for years, and his death was thrown Russia into chaos. The senators are already discussing possible replacements to Kerensky. New coalitions are being formed, both between the left and the right, while military men like Denikin, Rangel, and Kornilov are just one step away from intervening to dissolve democracy and save Mother Russia.
How barbaric.
Yes.
Indeed. Is there something we can do to influence that?
Not that I know of, although Japan has just gotten Manchurian exploitation. Profits from legation cities. You know, one thing about this mod is it has a lot more written events than default.
I kind of like that, though.
Yeah. Following the 1926 German intervention in China and the Treaty of Nanjing signed in November of that year, foreign trade was left to the richest cities of the coast under a joint control of world powers owning interests in China. The independence of these consortium of cities was guaranteed by the member local and international powers, such as the Qing Empire, the Algostasian GmbH, Japan,
Australia, Canada, U.S., Germany.
Foreign investments and the legation cities themselves flourishes not only through foreign trade, but also thanks to smuggling into Algostasian and Qing territories. Despite the ongoing economic crisis, our investment in the legation cities are still bringing us grand profit. Awesome. So we get -5 consumer goods factories, plus factory output, plus political power.
We'll take it.
Yeah. And
our civilian factories are free.
Interesting. So I think the factory system is a little different than what we're used to. It seems like factories get built a lot faster.
Payment of the Brest-Litovsk reparations.
Brest-Litovsk reparations.
Hilarious. This is awesome.
With stagnation of our economy and worsening conditions of our citizens during 1935, our government has decided that in order to restart our economy, we need additional cash. Only available option to amass sufficient capital to help our economy was to force the Russian state to prematurely repay the remaining reparation from the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. During the Berlin Conference in November 1935, President Alexander Kerensky, together with Prime Minister Pavel Milyukov, were forced to accept the premature payment of the Brest-Litovsk reparations. With drastic austerity measures, the Russian government was able to prematurely repay the remaining parts of its reparations they were agreed in the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. Yeah, I'm sure that's not going to have any
effect on
Russian stability. Okay, that's why we got so many factories, because these events are giving us civilian infrastructure back.
See, what I like here is what seems to be happening in 1936 is Germany is on this massive sort of fuck you victory tour, and it's making the world hate us while we boom, which is kind of interesting.
Black Monday, the 3rd of February 1936, the Berlin Stock Exchange stopped sinking, it plunged. Fueled by the instability of the market, selling erupted as soon the stock market opened on Monday morning. It took well into the night for the teleprinters to stop sputtering out the results of what became known as Black Monday. When the results had been analyzed, it was clear that the situation had become desperate overnight.
My God.
So, yeah, we've got minus 20 production efficiency, minus 50% factory output, and minus 60 construction speed.
And into negative political power.
Going into the negative on political power. And we get the event run on the banks. German citizens, panicked by the collapse of the Berlin stock market, are rushing to make bank runs to withdraw their assets. The banks cannot afford to give out such sums, as many are in danger of collapse. I love this so far. Many are clamoring for immediate government intervention to stabilize this unprecedented financial crisis. So we can close the banks temporarily. We lose a bunch of political power.
Oh, yeah.
And we get Black Week comes to an end. Guarantee the holdings of private individuals. We get minus 100 political power, which is not as bad. Consumer goods factories rise by 8% for 50 days. Do nothing. We just completely screw everyone over. I would go with guarantee the holdings of private individuals.
I think you've either got to guarantee holdings or close banks. I mean, either one has pros and cons if you're debating it as actual policy.
Yeah.
I think that a government the size and with the authoritarian bent of the German Empire would probably see fit to have a stake in it like this.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we can live with that. I think this is basically what the U.S. did, right?
More or less.
With the FDIC.
Yeah, more or less.
Eventually. Yeah. France shows its true face. The Reds are clearly set to spread their position as they have clearly shown during the last session of the elections. We must be prepared for anything. All right.
A lot of manpower, and it's all gone.
And it disappeared.
And it's gone.
And there it goes. How badly understaffed are our divisions?
Not bad now.
Yeah, they're at about 80% manpower.
And
worst I've seen.
Yeah, okay.
Very well trained. Oh, holy shit! The Baden Grenadiers are like fucking
incredible.
Hardcore. That's some institutional memory right there. If they were able to retain that,
we got to get the manpower to staff our army.
Afghanistan has declared war on India.
Black Week comes to an end.
All right, so the situation hardly improved in the days following Black Monday, which was the start of what became known as Black Week. Panic selling of stocks reached an all-time high as people tried to dump their stocks before they became worthless. When the Berlin stock market closed at the end of the week, the market was as dead as the 11 major economic experts and top executives in Germany had committed suicide. The German government had to act, so we have to reform the economy, obviously. The Fifth Anglo-Afghani War. After the Weltkrieg, as the British Raj collapsed into turmoil and warfare, the neighboring kingdom of Afghanistan took advantage of this as an opportunity to seize Peshawar and Quetta, both border regions of the Dominion. However, the Afghani government's attempts to modernize over the last decade have been met with fierce resistance from the conservative elements within the country. King Amanullah Khan now hopes to use the turmoil in Delhi following the death of George V to his advantage. By repeating the success of the Fourth Anglo-Afghan War, the king hopes to silence the conservative opposition and bring new lands to the crown. However, international experts do not put many hopes on the tiny mountain nation winning this conflict.
Who cares about it?
Who cares about Afghanistan? Oh. I actually think they have a more than even shot of winning that, depending on how much help they're getting from the Entente powers.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
We're not at war, are we?
It doesn't look like it.
I'm wondering why the Ukrainians are showing up in that color, but I guess it's just their color.
And at least our political power isn't.
Yeah.
It's
going back up.
Yeah, it's becoming less radical.
Agricultural crisis in Mitteleuropa. During the time of great crisis, the agricultural sector of the German economy is one of the most vulnerable to turmoil. With this in mind, several Junkers, representing the landed nobility of the Kingdom of Prussia, have asked for protectionist legislation and subsidies to their production. By imposing tariffs on foreign produce, we will strengthen this important sector of the Reich's economy. Such a measure is likely to cause further damage to the economy of our neighbors, however, as they are greatly dependent in trade with Germany.
It's an alpha, guys. We get it.
We'll edit all this text for you for a shout out. I'll do it.
Absolutely.
The wheat crops in the Ukraine are particularly vulnerable, so we can protect our own peasants. Poland, Ukraine, and Galicia, Lodomeria don't like us. Ukraine gets plus 40 political power. Or we must uphold our foreign obligations. And we get closer to crisis.
I don't know, man. I take care of your own.
I think so too.
Take care of your own.
If we're playing this the way that we think that the German Empire would have actually acted in 1936, given the scenario.
I think it's the sounder economic policy.
Financial troubles in the colonies. Rising inflation and a consequently debased Reichsmark means that the state expenses of German colonies has become too great to maintain pre-Black Monday tax codes. Some maverick politicians propose raising taxes.
Mavericks!
But raising taxes on German nationals and just to aid German colonials would obviously not be popular, especially not under the present economic situation. Most of the Reichstag merely proposed limited financial support for our colonial possessions. What do we do? So if we raise taxes on the nationals to appease the colonies, lose a bunch of political power, the East Asian company,
our companies like us more,
likes us more, and Middle Africa likes us more. Spare expenses only for the colonies under our direct control.
Less huge hit.
Yeah, and then we get the Cretan question as an event. I think, we control Crete directly, don't we?
Yeah, and tightening our belts, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know that we can afford to tighten our belts.
And then we get the Cretan question and the status of Sri Lanka events, which I'm assuming none of these are going to be good.
I think that I don't know that you can increase mainland taxes to appease colonies. I don't think that's accurate. Like, what authoritarian government goes, oh, okay, here's money. But I don't think they would just leave them high and dry. I think the middle is the more accurate
Go for the
call.
moderate option.
Yeah, well, I think it would be.
Yeah.
Because you don't want your foreign possessions to collapse and rebel.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen. Raising taxes on Germans
that's
is not
the thing.
Gonna...
Yeah, if we fall into a crisis, who gives a fuck about the colonies at that point? I mean, it's we're going for a dive. So yeah, that's acceptable, I think. So the question of Crete should pop up.
Should fire
fairly soon here.
National, that helped.
Okay, cool.
That helped.
Remilitarization of Oltenia. Armed forces of Romania have moved into Oltenia despite the Bucharest Treaty of 1918 forbidding them to do so.
Ooh.
The Iron Guard regime of Romania hailed this as an important step towards restoring Romania to its former greatness. It remains to be seen whether they will uphold the stipulations of the treaty.
Okay, imperial restructuring. Well, that 75 political power sure helped, I'll tell you that.
Definitely. The Iron Guard, okay, so they're full-on fascists.
Full-on.
I think they're one of the only full fascist states in Europe at this point.
Remember to get another national focus.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
So we're restructuring the empire.
Aid our allies, treaty with Ireland, mission to the Cossacks.
That seems like it's going to cause war sooner than later. I think we want to do something else.
Aftermath of Black Monday. We can't take that until the 3rd of August 1936. So one thing we could do, because political power works differently in this game, we could just wait and take the extra 1 political power per day to get out of
I would
negatives.
think either do that or talk about the Navy a little bit.
Naval industry, 2 dockyards.
One of the things that helps you get out of depression is expanding your industry. And we have run into the same problem the British Empire once did. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of overseas holdings. I don't think a strong Navy is a bad thing.
We can also go down towards Krupp and IG Farben as well. Oh yeah, this gives us 5 national unity and 150 political power.
We'll do that. I think that sounds great.
Reconfigure our internal policies, yeah.
That's the way to go.